On the firewall, you can generate a public-private key pair along with an unsigned certificate by browsing to Device, Certificate Management, and then Certificates. In order to have the unsigned certificate be trusted by network devices, the unsigned certificate would have to be signed by a certificate authority. In this demonstration, we'll create an unsigned certificate, then get it signed by a certificate authority so that it can be used by the firewall for SSL forward proxy decryption. On the Device Certificates tab, shown here, we'll click Generate. We'll name the certificate SSL Forward Trust Cert. The common name typically is the fully qualified domain name or IP address of a network interface. We'll type 192.168.1.1 because this is the IP address assigned to the firewall interface that will be receiving and decrypting our encrypted SSL traffic. The key to generating a certificate signing request file, or CSR file, is to select External Authority CSR in the Signed By field. You do not have to select the Certificate Authority checkbox because this certificate will be configured as a subordinate certificate authority by the certificate authority that signs this certificate. Configuring this certificate as a subordinate certificate authority will enable the firewall to use this certificate to sign the SSL server certificates that the firewall has been able to verify. If you are configuring OCSP, then use the optional OCSP responder field, shown here, to specify the OCSP server for this certificate. An OCSP server can tell SSL clients whether or not a certificate is valid. We'll not configure OCSP in this demonstration. You can also change the default cryptographic settings used to generate the certificate. The algorithm, number of bits, and digest values that you select must be compatible with the devices in your environment. The default expiration setting is probably too short for many use cases. You should consider increasing the expiration date to at least 2 years or 720 days. The certificate attributes are used to further identify the owner of and use for the certificate. We'll click Add and add a country attribute set to United States and an organization attribute set to Palo Alto Networks. Now we'll click the Generate button. A new but unsigned certificate appears in the Certificate Management window. The firewall also creates and stores a public-private key pair associated with the certificate. Notice that your unsigned certificate appears in the web interface in an orange-colored font with the status of pending. Notice there is a public-private key pair, but this pending certificate is not a certificate authority. This certificate is not currently authorized to sign other certificates as a subordinate certificate authority. Select the unsigned certificate and then click Export Certificate to generate a CSR file. A CSR file is downloaded to your system. Send this CSR file to your external or internal certificate authority. The certificate authority will sign the certificate and return a .pem file. To demonstrate what a certificate authority would do with the CSR file, we'll browse to an internal CA system and sign the CSR file. First, the CA system would have to open the CSR file and copy the encrypted certificate request. Then we'll browse to the web-based CA tool and we'll click Request a Certificate. Then we'll click Advanced Certificate Request. Then we'll paste in the encrypted certificate. We'll also select Subordinate Certificate Authority as the certificate template and we'll click Submit. Then we'll select Base64 encoded because this format is supported by the firewall for importing signed certificates. Then we'll click Download Certificate to download the certificate file with the signed certificate inside. After you get the signed certificate file, you'll need to go back to the firewall and import the file. We'll select SSL Forward Trust Cert and click Import. For the certificate name, use the same exact name that appears in the web interface. Then browse to the certificate file. After the import, the newly signed certificate is available for use. Notice that the certificate status is now valid. There is a public-private key pair, and the subordinate certificate is also a CA. It can sign other certificates. The ability to sign other certificates would be required by the firewall in order for this certificate to function in an SSL Forward Trust Certificate configuration.